What makes us feel like we really own things? We go through life creating a world that we think is ours. It's not just about the stuff we have, for example, our house, clothes, and our money, but also about our memories, thoughts, and who we think we are. We hold onto these things pretty tightly, thinking they're a big part of who we are. What if this whole idea is just wrong? Have you ever thought about the idea that maybe nothing, not even the person you think you are, can really be owned? If you're serious about your personal health, whether you want to stop suffering, get clear guidance on how to stop overthinking, or to be more present in life, now's the perfect time to subscribe to our channel. Like this video if you're ready to grow further as a person. Now, let's continue. Take a moment to consider your own body. You didn't pick its shape, its height, or how it ages. Even if you really care for it, it still changes in ways you just can't control. If this body really belongs to you, then why doesn't it just listen to you? Why can't you just tell it to stay strong, healthy, and young forever? You know, the reality is that nothing in life really belongs to us. It's interesting how our thoughts just come and go on their own, isn't it? Have you ever just taken a moment to sit quietly and observe your thoughts? Thoughts just pop up out of nowhere, bouncing from one idea to the next. Some are nice, some not so much, but they all show up without asking for your okay. When your mind acts like this, how much control do you actually have? Even so, we still hold on. It's like the mind grabs onto things, thinking that if it holds on tight enough, they'll be safe. But the tighter we hold on, the more everything seems to fall apart. Eckhart Tolle speaks directly to this idea in The Power of Now. The more you make your thoughts and possessions into who you are, the more you cling to them, and the more you fear losing them. This fear isn't just about material things. It extends to our identities, our relationships, and even our emotions. When we identify too strongly with what we own, we set ourselves up for suffering because everything in life is temporary. Relationships can really struggle when there's too much control involved. Achievements really start to feel less special when we worry that they might just fade away from memory. Even everyday things, a watch, a phone, a notebook, can make us feel anxious if we think they define who we are. This clinging isn't just something we do, it's actually built into how our brains work. It turns out that when we feel like we own something, our brain actually releases dopamine. This little chemical is what gives us that nice feeling of pleasure and security. That's why we get attached so quickly, even to stuff that doesn't really mean much. It's funny how losing a cheap pen you've had for weeks can really get under your skin. Right, it's not really about the pen. It's not really about the pen. It's more about how our minds are trying so hard to cling on. Once upon a time, there was a king who confidently declared that his enormous kingdom belonged solely to him. A wise teacher leaned down, picked up a grain of sand, and asked, "Can you take even this with you when you die?" The king was left speechless. That one grain of sand broke his illusion. No matter how much we say we own, nothing really belongs to us. But the mind just won't go along with it. It just won't go along with it. It just keeps reaching out, thinking that if it holds on a bit tighter, it might finally get a grip on things. But this just leaves us feeling anxious, restless, and a bit scared. Think about a monkey reaching into a nut bag. The monkey takes a handful, but then its fist gets too big to pull back out. The monkey is in a bit of a bind, feeling panicked, not because the jar is sealed, but because it just can't bring itself to let go. Our minds work in a similar way. We hold on to things, people, memories, even our own ideas, thinking that if we let go, we might lose something really important. But honestly, it's this clinging that holds us back. Sometimes, we get it all mixed up and think that attachment is the same as love, and that holding on tight means we're safe. It feels like if we let go, we might end up losing it all. Actually, it's the other way around. The more we hold on, the more it hurts. You know, the real issue here is that we often find ourselves clinging to things that are just slipping away from us, no matter how hard we try. You know, nothing in this world can really be owned. Not completely and definitely not for good. The more we try to grab onto things that aren't really ours, the more anxious and unhappy we end up feeling. The way we keep reaching for control and holding on tight is really what makes us feel uneasy. Real calm doesn't come from holding on tighter. It's about seeing things in a new light. Owning something gives you a sense of security, right? But if you dig a little deeper, you might find that there's a more unsettling feeling lurking underneath. Fear. The more we think we own something, the more scared we get about losing it. Picture someone who really values their pricey watch. Initially, they feel a sense of pride and contentment. But before long, that pride shifts into anxiety. They keep glancing at their wrist all the time. They get really anxious if they can't remember where they put it. What used to bring them joy now feels more like a weight, a constant nagging worry about losing it all. This fear isn't only in your head, it really affects your body too. In A New Earth, Tolle expands on this by saying, the ego tends to equate having with being. I have, therefore I am. And the more I have, the more I am. But the more I am, but the more you attach your sense of self to what you own, the more fragile your identity becomes. This is why losing something, even something small, can feel like losing a part of ourselves. But true peace comes not from grasping, but from letting go. Did you know that neuroscience reveals losing something important can trigger the same areas in our brain as when we feel physical pain? Pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting, right? That's why losing something that might seem small can actually hurt more than you'd expect. The mind doesn't just notice things around it, it recognizes parts of itself in them. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "You can control your thoughts and actions, but everything else, your possessions, your reputation, even your body, lies beyond your grasp." His words really resonate with the Buddha's teaching. Our suffering increases when we hold on to what we can't truly control. But holding on too tightly doesn't just impact how we feel about things. It can really mess with our connections to others. Sometimes, a parent might cling a bit too much to their child, trying to control their decisions because they're worried about keeping them safe. By doing this, they might end up limiting the child's independence, transforming love into something that feels more like suffocation. Think about a partner who holds on tightly in a relationship, always needing reassurance and wanting to be in control. Even if they mean well, it can end up causing resentment, distance, and hurt. The more we hold on, the more we tend to push people away. Clinging not only harms our relationships, but it also holds us back from growing. Picture someone who had a taste of success in their career, but now they're stuck, too afraid to take the next step because they don't want to let go of that identity. They shy away from new challenges because they're really stuck on their past. Think about someone who views themselves as strong and won't acknowledge their vulnerability, even when they're going through a tough time. When they hold on tightly to a set idea of themselves, it creates a barrier that keeps them stuck. Why do we hold on like this? We often think that if we just hold on tight, we'll be safe. We often tell ourselves that by controlling things, like our relationships, our status, or even our own thoughts, we can somehow avoid loss, change, or uncertainty. But you know, that belief is really just an illusion. The more we hold on tightly, the more delicate we end up being. When we rely on things that can easily slip away for our security, it's no wonder that anxiety starts to creep in. The mind just can't seem to settle down, always on the lookout for dangers, constantly worried about losing what it's trying so hard to keep. Holding on to this fear feels like lugging around a heavy bag for hours. First, you tell yourself that you have to carry it, that without it, you just won't feel safe. But the more you hold on, the more tired you start to feel. Soon as you put it down, you feel that wave of relief wash over you. Letting go is more about feeling a sense of release than it is about experiencing loss. The Buddha didn't say we should turn our backs on the world or shy away from forming meaningful connections. Instead, He showed us that peace comes from letting go a bit, from caring deeply without the need to possess or control. Letting go is all about opening our hands. It's about easing that tension and finding a whole new sense of freedom. We can love life without having to hold on tightly to it. You know, the less we cling to ownership, the better we can really appreciate what's right here in front of us, just with open hands and an open heart. Picture yourself strolling through a thick forest with a backpack loaded up with stones. Every stone stands for something you cling to: your belongings, your successes, your connections, and even your sense of self. First, the weight seems pretty easy to handle. But as the path gets steeper, each step feels tougher. Your shoulders are sore. You're having a bit of trouble catching your breath, and everything around you feels kind of far away and muted. At last, feeling worn out, you take a break and drop the backpack on the ground. When you finally let go, it's like your body just floats. For the first time in ages, you really feel that cool breeze, catch a whiff of the trees, and soak up the warm sunlight on your skin. It wasn't just about the stones. It was the idea that you had to bear them all on your own. Buddhism suggests that holding on can weigh us down in a similar way. We hold on tight to our stuff, our status, our relationships, and even our sense of self, thinking that these things really shape who we are. But the harder we grip, the more pain we feel. Letting go isn't about leaving behind what we care for. It's about figuring out how to hold on to things gently, without any worries. Philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre pointed out how quickly we tend to shape our identities around what we own. It's like we treat our stuff as if it's a piece of our identity. This ends up making our sense of self pretty fragile. It's funny how losing our things can make us feel like we've lost a part of who we are. When we lose something we think is ours, it feels like we've lost a piece of ourselves. Buddha shared a really impactful perspective. He suggested that nothing we own, nothing we accomplish, and no rigid concept of me can genuinely capture our true essence. This really gets to the core of non-self. It's all about realizing that our identity isn't something we can claim. So, there's this story about a rich merchant who decided to pay a visit to the Buddha. The merchant was really anxious, worried that thieves might come and take his treasures. "I just can't seem to get any sleep," he admitted. "I can't enjoy what I have because I'm always afraid of losing it," the Buddha said. "Then give away what you cannot keep." The merchant got it all wrong, thinking the Buddha wanted him to part with his entire fortune. But the Buddha's teaching went deeper. Let go of the mental weight. The idea that these things define who you are. It didn't really matter if the merchant gave away his wealth or not. He really needed to let go of the notion that his treasures defined who he was. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on life or being indifferent. Actually, it usually strengthens our bonds. A parent who holds on too tightly to their child, insisting on obedience and control, can really stifle the relationship. A parent who loves without trying to control gives their child the room to grow, and in that freedom, a stronger connection develops. It's true for friendships, careers, and how we see ourselves, too. Love grows best when it's free from fear. Growth really kicks in when we let go of that rigid idea of who we think we are. Sometimes our mental struggles really stem from holding on too tightly. Anxiety feeds off attachment. It's like the mind just holds on tight to all those imagined scenarios, going over and over what could possibly go wrong. Restlessness comes from the mind not wanting to accept what's happening right now, always looking for something better. Letting go doesn't mean we're pushing away our thoughts or feelings. It's more about freeing ourselves from the need to control them. Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, explains that much of our suffering comes from identifying too much with our thoughts. He writes, "The mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. When we attach ourselves to every thought, believing it defines us, we create unnecessary pain. But when we step back, observing thoughts instead of clinging to them, we find a space of inner stillness where true peace exists. Imagine a tight fist, gradually relaxing, and with that, the mind eases up, bringing in a sense of peace. One of the best reminders of this truth can really be seen in nature. A bird doesn't carry anything, but it glides effortlessly through the sky. It makes a nest, but never holds on to it. When the season shifts, it moves on without looking back. This lightness isn't about being indifferent. It's about wisdom, a profound trust that life can unfold naturally without needing to hold on tightly. Just like that, our lives feel a lot lighter when we ease up a bit. Letting go isn't about giving up on love or purpose. It's about freeing ourselves from the worry of losing things we never really had control over. In that freedom, we discover something much deeper than just owning things. We uncover peace. We collect our belongings, build relationships, and shape our identities, all of which come together to create the picture of who we believe we are. But no matter how hard we try to hold on, everything eventually slips through our fingers. People we care about leave us. Our bodies change over time, and our luck can turn around. While some might feel down about this, the Buddha had a different perspective. He viewed it not as something to be afraid of, but rather as the path to true peace. Can we really say something is ours if we can't hold on to it forever? Picture someone who's renting a house. They might add some decorations, pick out furniture, and really start to feel a connection to the walls and windows. But deep down, they realize that one day they have to go. Even if they loved it a lot, the house was never really theirs. This is how life plays out. Everything we hold on to is just on loan. Our money, our status, and even the people in our lives. It's not about turning away from these things. It's more about recognizing them for what they really are, temporary, fleeting, and never really ours. This understanding isn't just about leaving us with nothing. It actually highlights a richer kind of wealth. The freedom we gain when we let go of our need to hold on tight. Buddha often talked about generosity as more than just being kind. He saw it as a great way to help lessen our attachments. Every time we share something, be it money, time, or just a kind word, we push back against that tendency of our minds to hold on tight. Being generous doesn't mean we have to give away everything we have. It's more about learning to hold on to things lightly, with an open hand instead of a tight grip. Letting go isn't just about getting rid of stuff. It's also about freeing ourselves from the idea that our thoughts, feelings, and who we think we are really define us. The phrases "I am this way" or "things must be" like this really create a kind of self-imposed cage. The Buddha shared that this self-image is really just another illusion of ownership, a mental framework we create to feel safe. Just like our stuff, our identity is always changing. Eckhart Tolle, in A New Earth, speaks about the false sense of identity we often build around possessions, achievements, or even past experiences. He states, "Give up defining yourself or to others. You won't die. You will come to life." The more we let go of rigid self-definitions, the more we allow ourselves to evolve, adapt, and experience life in a fuller, freer way. The way you think now is definitely different from how you thought 5 years ago. The person you thought you were as a kid isn't quite the same as who you are now. When we really get this, the mind starts to relax. We don't have to stick to just one identity anymore. Instead, we get to be flexible, open-minded, and ready to go with the flow as life happens. The Buddha suggested that we take some time to think about impermanence as a way to practice this. It's not about dwelling on what's gone, but rather paying attention to the changes as they unfold. Pay attention to your breath. Notice how each inhale goes up and down. Hey, have you ever noticed how a thought just pops up, hangs around for a bit, and then fades away? All emotions, no matter how strong they feel, will eventually fade away. When we take a moment to notice this ongoing movement, it becomes clear that nothing, not even what we think of as me, is really solid or permanent. The more we notice this, the less we hold on tight. If you're looking to give this a shot, here's a straightforward practice you might enjoy. For just one day, try silently repeating the phrase, "This does not belong to me." Whenever you grab your phone, just remind yourself, "This does not belong to me." And when you chat with a loved one, think quietly in your mind. When you notice feelings of anger, joy, or fear coming up, take a moment to observe them and softly say to yourself, "This does not belong to me." It's not about being detached or cold. It's more about easing the mind's hold. A gentle nudge that reminds us that everything we go through is just flowing by, like water. In the beginning, this practice might feel a bit awkward, maybe even a little strange. But if you keep at it, something pretty amazing starts to happen. You begin to feel a sense of lightness coming through. Fear fades away, anxiety eases up, and the mind finds a sense of calm it never realized it could have. The Buddha never said you could find this freedom in a flash. It really requires some patience and hard work. Every moment we become aware, every time we realize that nothing really belongs to us, is a step closer to finding peace. Ultimately, this truth isn't a loss. It's actually a gift. It's interesting to think about how nothing really belongs to us. Whether it's our money, our connections with others, or even our own bodies, when we let go of our attachments, we find something much bigger, a freedom that nobody can take from us. Letting go doesn't mean you're giving up. It's really about recognizing things for what they truly are. Let's keep growing together on this path of self-discovery. Subscribe to our channel for daily inspiration and grow as a person. Comment the word "now" and like the video to show your support. Also, consider sharing this video with someone who could use some encouragement to slow down and enjoy life more fully.